one of the next scenes is the heroes go into the Matrix because Morpheus is taking Neo to see another character known as the Oracle. We'll get to what she represents. She's basically one who makes prophecy about what's going to happen in the future. And in the waiting room to see the Oracle character, he encounters this little boy who we don't know his name. He's just referred to as the boy with the spoon, or Spoon Boy. Okay? And he's bending these spoons with his mind into knots in the Matrix. Because he's woken up. He knows this isn't real. It's a computer projected reality. And he could just, it's mind over matter. It's the will over the physical world. Okay? Reshaping it as he sees fit. And he's trying to teach Neo to do it. And Neo's having a problem with it. And he says, do not, the Spoon Boy says to Neo, do not try to bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. And Neo says, what truth? And the Spoon Boy replies that there is no spoon. Meaning, you know that this is in the Matrix. It's in the world of illusion. Exercise your will over it and change it. Okay? And he says, there is no spoon. He says, only then will you see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself that bends. Okay? So he's saying, you have to change in here. And in here, if you want to see change reflected in the external reality, it has to happen from within first. Neo finally meets the Oracle character, represented by this black woman, and she is about prophecy, she is about the intuition, and she is about knowing the self. That's what this character represents. She's the deep innermost recesses of the subconscious mind. Okay? And she tells Neo that he should look at the sign behind the door, behind her door, when you walk into the temple of the Oracle. This is a clear reference to the Delphic Oracle in Greece, which was the center of the Hermetic mystery traditions in the ancient world. And this is the main saying, here you see it in Latin, temet nosce. In Greek, I don't know what the inscription was off the top of my head, but basically what that means is know thyself. And in the Hermetic tradition, they said, know thyself. And only through knowing thyself will you know the universe and the gods. Okay? So this is the ultimate command of all mystery tradition teachings. If you don't know the self, you're doomed. If you know the self, then you can create wondrous change in the world. And that's the problem. We don't know ourselves. We've forgotten who we are. And we don't understand how consciousness works to create the reality that we're witnessing and that we're experiencing. And therefore, that's why we continue to create in ignorance. If only when we know the self will we create consciously. So she says, do you know what that means? It's Latin. It means know thyself. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love. You just know it through and through. She says, sorry, kid. You have the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something. Maybe in the next life. Who knows? So he hasn't built up the confidence. He doesn't know himself enough to know he is the one. He hasn't come to that awakening level yet, that level of consciousness to know he's the one who has to go out and make change. Okay? So she tells him, well, it seems like you're waiting for something. You know, you don't know that you're the one? Well, then I guess you're not. If that's what you believe, then it's true. So he leaves kind of despondent, and back on the ship, Cypher betrays some of the other characters and kills one of them. Alright? And he takes over the ship, and he finally betrays Morpheus, and Morpheus falls into the hands of agents within the Matrix before they can actually get out. So here you see Morpheus being tortured and questioned by some of the agents. And Agent Smith says to Morpheus, in reference to the Matrix itself, the system of control, have you ever stared at it and marveled at its beauty, its genius? Billions and billions of people just living out their lives, completely oblivious. Talking about the control system we're living in. He says, did you ever know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world? Where none suffered, where everyone would be happy. It was a complete disaster. no one would accept the program. And that's because as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. This is Smith's dark, poisoned worldview of humanity, of how he sees humanity. And this is part of our poisoned worldview. Why we're still stuck in the matrix is this is a lot of people's poisoned worldview. He says the perfect world was actually a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from. You couldn't just accept that things were okay and that, nature was just, ruling the day and you were going along in harmony with it. You weren't trying to fight against it. You weren't trying to fight against the laws of creation. You weren't trying to fight against, your true nature. You were just going along with it. That would have been a perfect world, but you couldn't do that. Your mind kept trying to wake up from it. It wanted something else. It wanted something more, until it finally would only accept this prison reality, that desire to control. He says that's why the Matrix was redesigned to this, meaning, the modern world, the system of control. So he says, when I tried to classify your species, I realized that you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but humans do not. You move to an area, multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. The only way you survive is to spread to another area. There is another organism on this planet that follows this same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague and we are the cure, meaning the machines. Because he's one of the programs in the machine world. So that's his worldview. And that is the dominator's worldview. That is really what they think. That's how they think. And unfortunately, they have given us, they have infected our minds with that worldview, and many of us think that same way. We're not a virus. If we continue to think that we are, we're falling right into their game, into their hands, and believing in their worldview, which is ultimately going to lead us right into their continued control.